Some people are asking me, is this it when it comes to XCN? Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and clearly I am not telling anyone to do anything, but at the same time as well, what is my reaction to Onyx as of right now? Because if we take a look at XCN currently, I mean, the market cap is around 190 million, which, in the grand scheme of things, we saw kind of like, around a 7% sort of increase to reach that not too long ago that I saw. But still, it's down quite a lot actually, and it's levels we haven't pretty much seen in almost a year at this point. Now, granted, I understand that generally speaking, this is not just the event where it's only XCN, a bunch of altcoins are having a pullback. XCN might have a bigger pullback than some others, but at the same time, when it comes to Onyx, at least now, because it had that pretty good rally back in January, it's already kind of been able to establish itself as one of these alternatives in the space of payments and global trade and finance. Because if we take a look at, for instance, for quite a while, a lot of people thought, oh, it's just pretty much XDC other than XLM or something like that. But then now, there's something like Onyx, which is not even talked about not that long ago, right? At least as of right now, it is something that people often discuss and kind of put in the same conversation with like an XDC, for instance. And I also feel like, for me, because my intention is a dollar cost average, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to try to find the perfect moment or something like that because I'm not going to be able to find it. But if I'm able to dollar cost average again into XCN at a market cap at below 200 million, for the long term, if let's say for whatever reason there is a change in the market and the sentiment when it comes to altcoins, it's not something I would necessarily be too, I think, concerned about. That's my perspective, or something I would necessarily care too much about, because in the grand scheme of things, if let's say for whatever reason XCN goes back to what it did back in January, like at a market cap at that point, it was like around a billion at that point. Like for whatever reason, if let's say I acquired XCN at a market cap of around 180 million, 190 million or something like that, would that be a difference that I would notice too much if it returned back to the levels it did back in January? I don't think I'd care too much actually. Or should I say I don't even care about that at all at that point? Because again, if it just went back to the market cap it did back in January, even if the market cap was like around 300 million at this point, it's not something I would necessarily be too disappointed with in my perspective. But who knows? Only time will tell. For instance, I just want to take a look at Bitcoin as an example. When it was around 100 grand, 120 grand, a lot of people that I knew, they were saying, oh wow, imagine if hypothetically for whatever reason Bitcoin went to 200 grand or 300 grand. But then now that it's like around 90 grand, slightly below that actually, a lot of people are now telling me that, oh, it's not such a thing that they would consider anymore because the price had a pullback. Now, why am I using this as an example? Well, it's because in my perspective, like I didn't even mind dollar cost averaging into XCN back in April when the market cap was around 300 million. So right now that the market cap is basically way lower, I'm going to start complaining all of a sudden. Personally, I'm not going to complain about that, but I can't speak on anyone's behalf. Now, also, I get it. When it comes to some of the Onyx, people like to tell me, no one's really going to care about this. It's just basically like a watered down version of XDC, and then at the same time, it doesn't even have the popularity or the notoriety of something like that. I'm totally aware of that. However, I don't think in every single case, it's only just going to be XDC, in my perspective, just because the market cap is bigger than this. Now, granted, they both have a market cap that is below 2 billion, and they both are projects that are focused on payments and global trade and finance. But it's just like, for instance, right? If let's say I want to enter into the meme coin space or something like that, am I only going to focus on Shiba Inu and Dogecoin? Probably not. There's other alternatives out there, in my perspective, that don't have such a massive market cap, at least in my perception. Will it be the case this time around in this market sector in payments and global trade and finance? Who knows, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, especially considering what just XCN did not too long ago back in January. And sure, people like to say, oh wow, take a look at the pullback. How long is it going to take to have a recovery? Well, I don't have the answer to that question because I can't control the market in any way. But what I do know, and what I did see back then in January, that pretty okay rally that I saw, that was in around 2 weeks. Like, it didn't take 2 years to do that. Like, for instance, the market cap at one point was around 80 million, then it was around 1 billion. And again, that didn't take like 2 or 3 years. I just saw that in the month of January. That's it. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to something like Onyx, it's not something I would necessarily just kind of think, oh yeah, this is it. Now this is just my perception, but I feel like fundamentally Onyx seems to me that it's just kind of scratching the surface of what it could maybe do. Because back then, I mean, let's just think about this. Was the testnet really taken into consideration? I mean, even the rumblings of what the testnet could be and all this type of stuff, that pretty much happened after the pullback when it comes to XCN. So XCN kind of did that not too long ago without really much to kind of latch on, for me at least, fundamentally speaking. Now that they're actually even able to do the testnet in the first place when it comes to Goliath, their layer 1 blockchain, I still find that pretty commendable considering how it's pretty impressive. Other projects out there, they haven't been able to launch a testnet despite talking about updates for like, what, over 2 years in some other cases. But then in this case, I just haven't seen that when it comes to it because, of course, they launched a testnet. When it comes to the mainnet, of course, I'm going to have to wait supposedly until next year in Q1 around that time. But still, when I take a look at something like Onyx, I'm still very kind of impressed with it fundamentally. Now, in terms of the price, I totally get it. It's not doing the best. But at the same time, am I only going to want a dollar cost average when things are doing the best? To me, that kind of defeats the purpose in my perspective, because if I'm just only waiting to dollar cost average into something after it's already done something, like, I don't get why I would do that. I feel like it's a little bit counterintuitive in my case. Because, the journey along the way, I don't want to, like, not be a part of that. That's my point of view. Even despite with the pullback as of right now, there's still over 130,000 holders. Like, it's not the amount of holders went down to like 50,000 or 40,000 or something like that, which actually would still be pretty impressive, but still that would be a major decrease, right? A lot of people are probably thinking, oh, maybe it's going to dip below 100,000 holders or something like that, and that wouldn't even necessarily surprise me if that was maybe the case, but still, it's still holding up pretty strong. So yeah, overall, I mean, I just haven't given up. That's my point of view. So when people like to ask me, oh, is this it when it comes to XCN? Personally, I don't have that perception, but it might be different on a case-by-case basis. And how can I just give up like that? That's my point of view. Because I haven't seen the mainnet when it comes to Goliath, their layer 1 blockchain. I have not seen an altcoin season during the cycle. Who knows if it will ever even happen, but I'm just saying I haven't seen one, so I just feel like it's sort of, personally, my perception. I can't speak on anyone's behalf. I just don't want to give up on the marathon if, let's say, I haven't even finished it. I mean, well, in theory, if I give up, then I'd never finish it, but I'm saying, like, I don't want to just kind of give up on that concept of me wanting to run marathons if I haven't been able to even complete one marathon. Yeah, that's, I think, a better analogy that I would kind of use. But yeah, that's about it. If, let's say, there was an altcoin season and XCN kind of did nothing, basically, then that's a different case. But then I haven't seen that. So overall, if I'm seeing its competitors, like for instance XDC, ZBCN, XPR, Swiftcoin, if they're all having a pullback much like this, would I just give up on all the other projects too? Like, I'm not going to do that, personally in my case, which is why I haven't given up. But nonetheless, I just want to talk about this real quick because a lot of people like to tell me, oh, is this it when it comes to XCN? To me, it doesn't have that vibe, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and I get it, right? 25 cents is around a 47x from here, so the pullback has been pretty extensive. But at the same time as well, my point of view is that, you know what? If it wants to return back to a market cap in which I didn't mind dollar cost averaging into anyways back then, I'm not going to complain about that. But that's just my point of view, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything, and even though nothing I say is financial advice. And I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you'll have a nice day. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.